And welcome back to SWBA Today. This is your host, Rico. And in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the scoreboard from last night. So we're going to be recapping the games that took place and just the storylines that came out of last night. We're also going to be looking at the Eastern and the Western Conference standings. As look, there's 6-7 games left, and the playoffs, the race for the playoffs really are starting to heat up here. So let's go ahead and start with the scoreboard and look at the key takeaways from last night. And so let's go ahead and start with the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so this was a big game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have been struggling coming in. They get a good win here against the Los Angeles Clippers. Remember, they had lost to them about a week ago, so this was at home for the Cavs. So 127-122 in this one. Key out of this is that Donovan Mitchell has 24 points. He also has 12 rebounds and 7 assists and 4 steals. This was actually his 6th double-double of the season. And then on top of that, they had a very good performance from Jarrett Allen, who had 25 points and 12 rebounds in this one. On the other side of the ball, Norman Powell had the best day for the Clippers, 34 points. He was 13 of 24 from the field, 4 assists in this one, and also did have 1 turnover, but he was +9. And so he was the best Clipper on the floor. You didn't have Kawhi Leonard in this one. You had James Harden. He had 24 points and 8 rebounds and 8 assists, but there was no Kawhi Leonard. And so the Cleveland Cavaliers take care of business, get their 60th win on the season. And so next up, next game we wanted to take a look at here was the Portland Trailblazers versus the New York Knicks. And so look, the Knicks take care of business. They win 110-93. And look, I think that the key takeaway here is starting with the Portland Trailblazers. Look, Denny Avdia is playing spectacular. Once again, he has a great game, 33 points. He has 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals in this one. He was +2 on 14 of 25 shooting and 2 of 7 from downtown. Hello, Washington Wizards, as they gave up on him. But, man, he's come over to Portland, and he has really found his way. You had Shaedon Sharpe, who had 23 points in this one. He was +4 with 7 rebounds as well. And then you had Anthony Simons with 15 points, -16 from the plus-minus box score. Really struggled shooting the basketball in this one, 5 of 20. But I think with the Knicks, really the key takeaways here that, look, OG Anunoby had a very good game, 28 points in this one, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Mikal Bridges, 28 points, 7 assists as well. And Karl Anthony Towns, a quiet day with the 10 points and 11 rebounds, but still the Knicks are able to take care of business. And the key takeaway out of this game is that Jalen Brunson said that he is looking to get back to the Knicks. He's been dealing with an ankle injury, but he wants to get back before the season ends. And I think that that's going to be huge as far as really just getting some rhythm. And so a good win for the Knicks, and I think a great game for Denny Avdia, man. He's been maybe one of the better players right now in the SWBA. And so next up, the Hawks and the Bucks. And so look, the Hawks looking very good in this one against the Milwaukee Bucks, who might be in some trouble without Dame Lillard indefinitely right now. And so in this game, look, it came down to, I think, really he's going to be the most improved player of the year in the SWBA, and that is Dyson Daniels. Look, he had 22 points in this. He had 6 assists. He had 9 rebounds, but listen to this. He had 5 steals. This guy is an absolute cookie monster. I believe he has 213 on the year. Passes Mookie Blaylock, who did this 3 times, I believe, for the Atlanta Hawks. And so Mookie Blaylock played with Mutombo back in the day as well. So he was the point guard there with Dikembe Mutombo. And so he was very good at getting steals. And so that just lets you know just how good Dyson Daniels has been. And then also too, number 1 pick in the draft, Zachary Rizisher has looked pretty good. 36 points. He had 6 rebounds. He had a steal as well. He was +19. Giannis on the other side of this thing, 31 points. He had 5 assists and 9 rebounds. And so also too, Kyle Kuzma had a good one, 25 points, 6 rebounds and an assist. But still, the Bucks have really struggled. And the Hawks, they've been an interesting team in the Eastern Conference. Don't really expect them to go anywhere, but I don't think that teams are going to want to see them when it comes down to a playoff series if they are able to make it out of the play-in situation. And so next up, this was a game that we talked about yesterday, and that was the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Detroit Pistons. I think really the key takeaway out of this is that, look, that huge brawl that they had, 7 players got ejected, really wasn't a big deal with the foul that Ron Holland II did there on Naz Reid. It's just a chippy game. Pretty much, I think that's what that came down to. And like I said yesterday, I think that when it comes down to a team just really establishing its identity, that's what the Pistons are doing. I mean, they have done something that they have not done in a long time. They are now 5th in the Eastern Conference. They're a team that certainly nobody wants to see. They play with that edge, that chippiness, and they're hungry. And I think that that's exactly what you see in this. And then with Anthony Edwards, look, it's been a very much up and down type of season for him. But look, the talent, you cannot deny it. I mean, because when he's locked in, when he's healthy, this is a guy that can really win you some games. And so 25 points in this when he was +5 in the plus-minus box score. He had 4 assists and 6 rebounds. And so a solid game for him. And quietly, Julius Randle has been balling for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Once again, he had a very good one in this one, 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. I mean, they just really took it to the Pistons, but that was the key storyline, was just the brawl that they had there. And so next up, you got the Pelicans and the Hornets here. And so Pelicans win 98-94. This really came down to a last-second shot. I believe it was Jose Alvarado who ended up taking the Pelicans home with this one, hitting a big-time shot here. And so in this game, once again, you had no Zion. And look, man, that has been the story really of the Pelicans here. I think at some point they got to figure out what they're going to do if they cannot get this guy to stay on the court. But Jose Alvarado has a very good game. He has 12 points. He has 4 assists. He had 2 steals. He was +1, even with 5 turnovers. So he was still a plus in the plus-minus with the 5 turnovers. So you got to give him a ton of credit. And then, on the other side of the ball, look, the Hornets, it's been a tough situation. They got news that LaMelo Ball is going to be out for the rest of the season with now an ankle and a wrist surgery there. And so that has kind of been the story there for the Hornets. And really, they have a terrific backcourt with Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball once they can keep these guys on the court. But, man, that is going to be key. But shout out to KJ Simpson getting the chance to play some major minutes here. He had 9 points in this one, 4 assists, 2 steals in this, and -6. And so I know not a lot of people know who he is, but he played for Colorado. He played for played with Cody Williams, excuse me. That's Jalen Williams' brother, who plays for OKC. And Cody Williams, I believe, was a lottery pick this last season for the Utah Jazz. But look, KJ Simpson was one of the better guards in the country last year. So I figured I'd want to talk about that with everything going on right now. And so KJ Simpson, terrific that he got a chance to get some minutes. And I think that that's really going to be the key for these teams that essentially they're just getting ready for the lottery. And so next up, you have the Golden State Warriors versus the San Antonio Spurs. And so look, this was all about, the starters, just everybody for Golden State really played well, because Draymond Green, he had 14. He was +12. He had 5 rebounds. He had 2 assists. You had Jimmy Butler. He was +26. Steph Curry with +24, Moses Moody +21, Brandon Przinski, he had a very good game. He's +22, had 27 points, actually led the way for him, and 6 rebounds and 5 assists as well. And so, look, he had a very strong game. And then you had Buddy Hield coming off the bench with 19 points, and he was +30 out there. He was the best as far as the plus-minus is concerned. But look, man, they were able to essentially rest Steph Curry out there. This is a tough loss for the San Antonio Spurs, but even in a tough loss, this is a team that, look, they have a ton of upside. And I just think that once they get a chance to put their young pieces together, they're going to get another good draft pick coming up this upcoming year. I think that the Spurs are going to turn the corner, much like the Pistons, very soon. And so next up, you got the Toronto Raptors here. and the 76ers. And so the Raptors win 127-109. And so we've had this talk before about the Sixers. Look, this has been a tough season for them. They lost Jared McCain. He's been out. There was no Tyrese Maxey in this. You had no Embiid. You've had no Paul George. And look, this team is just, it's seriously now all focusing on the draft pick. I think that is going to be key for them. And they're really going to have to try to rebuild this thing and try to figure out what they want to do with Embiid and that contract. But man, the Sixers have got to make some major changes here in the offseason. And with the Raptors, look, they have shown that this young core is going to be very good moving forward. I like what they have with Scotty Barnes, and then also too with Emmanuel Quickly, and then you also have RJ Barrett. But a lot of people are forgetting that they have Brandon Ingram, and so once they get Brandon Ingram back, look, this team is going to be interesting. We'll see what they do in the draft coming up. But look, the Raptors here, they might be a very scary team very soon as well. And so next up, the Rockets and the Phoenix Suns. And so look, this actually became another story because earlier in yesterday's episode, we talked about Dylan Brooks getting ejected after kind of going at Kevin Durant. Well, the key takeaway here is that Kevin Durant gets lost in this game. Third quarter, 94-57, driving down on Jabari Smith Jr., and it was a terrible rolled ankle. And I can tell you that just from playing basketball, it just looked that terrible. And so hopefully Kevin Durant is able to get back. And this is a tough stretch for the Phoenix Suns because they've lost a couple here and we're getting ready to get into the standings. But 148-109, the Rockets just, man, they destroyed the Suns here, and not a good sign that, look, Kevin Durant, he is certainly going to miss some time. And in fact, one of the things that I'm reading here about Kevin Durant is he is not going to be traveling with the team. And so that is just not a good sign here with 6-7 games to go. And just you really needing to get the max amount of wins possible, stay in that play-in situation, and at least give yourself a chance. And so with that being said, we're going to shift focus now. We're going to look at the SWBA standings here and really take a look at what is going on here. And so let's start with the Eastern Conference. And so we're looking at the top 8 teams, going to move that out of the way. And so we see the top 10 here. And so the Cavs, look, this is a team that they are up there. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be caught here by the Celtics, but I've said this before. I'm not a real believer in the Cavs. I'm still not sure that Donovan Mitchell and this team is really going to have enough to really go the distance. And in fact, I was looking at the roster, and I think the only player on that roster that's actually gone somewhere is maybe Max Strus. And then I think you could say DeAndre Hunter, because DeAndre Hunter was with that team in Atlanta that I think went to the Eastern Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken. And then Max Strus was on that team with Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy Butler, where they went from a play-in situation, I think, all the way to the finals or something like that. So he's gone deep in the playoffs before, but he's been injured as well. And they're going to need Max Strus a lot down the stretch here. And so we'll see how that works out. And so with the Celtics, they're in a prime position. They've got Jason Tatum back. We talked about this just about a day or so ago, and so it looked pretty bad initially with his twisted ankle where he came down on Sabonis's foot, but he was able to come back. This is a team that now they are starting to play together. Jaylen Brown back from that knee injury. It's all about the health for them. Can Porzingis continue to stay healthy? That is going to be key for them. And I think that because these guys were out and the Celtics had to use some of their role players like Pritchard and these guys like that, I think it's going to help the Celtics make a deep run. So next up, the Knicks, Pacers. Look, the Pacers are really heating up as far as scoring the basketball right now. In fact, they're getting back to what they did last season. Halliburton has been a double-double machine, and that is why the Pacers can be one of those teams. It's like a wild card team. Like you just don't know which team that they have. But one of the things that they have struggled with is defense. They really have not fixed that. And so they can score with the best of them, but defensively, they're not really a good team. And I think that that's really going to hurt them, I think, moving into the SWBA playoffs. And with the Pistons, look, the Pistons are playing with house money. They have the perfect mix of vets and then also 2 younger players as well, and they have no fear. And I love the fact that they have the Cavs' old coach and Coach Bickerstaff. So he knows what to do. He's been there with the Cavs. That type of experience, it's really trickling down with the Pistons. And so it's the same type of impact that you're seeing with the Rockets and their head coach who had been with the Celtics. And so I'm seeing the same similarity here with the Pistons. The Bucks, look, Doc Rivers, this team has really never figured out defensively what to do since Dame Lillard got over there. And then it's just become a disaster now because this was the year that you get Dame Lillard being there for the full offseason and everything. And then now he's out. I really worry about the Bucks, and they just don't have enough. The Hawks, look, they can be a scary team. They're scoring in bunches. They don't have Jalen Johnson right now. I'm not sure he's going to be back at this point. I think he might be out for the season. But look, they are a team that it's very much an up and down kind of thing. If they're scoring, they're hot, they're on. But defensively, they are going to struggle there. Don't really necessarily believe too much in their bigs. They don't have bigs that necessarily stretch the floor, so to speak. And so I think that that's something that could really hurt the Hawks. And then with the Magic and the Bulls. And so the Magic and the Bulls, I think, have been some of the hotter teams right now in the Eastern Conference, especially the Magic since they're getting healthy. And the Bulls have been on an absolute tear. I think that they've completely found their backcourt with Josh Giddey and Kobe White. And so that has been special there. And the Miami Heat, look, they really have not turned the corner since Jimmy Butler got traded. And I thought they would. I thought the energy would immediately shift. But this is a team that looks like that they need to get to the offseason and try to figure some things out. And so a bit disappointed with the Heat, especially since they have, I think, one of the more talented rookies in this last class with Khalil Ware, and it just has not worked out. And so next up, we want to take a look here at the the Western Conference, real quickly here, and taking a look at just those teams and just really the key takeaway out of that. And so, starting with the West and just looking at the OKC Thunder. And so, look, the Thunder, I think that this is a team where it's just their division to lose. I'm not sure that there is a team that is going to knock them down. But again, the playoffs, anything can happen. Games, they slow down as far as the possessions are concerned and things like that. And so that's why you say, look, there's always a chance they can have an off night, anything like that. But man, the Thunder look like that they might be unstoppable at this point. The Rockets, look, I know a lot of people are saying that they want to see the Rockets, but I'm saying, do you really want to see the Rockets? Because look, the Rockets are looking pretty good right now. They've been playing some good basketball. And I think that I'm seeing some real maturity from them, especially when it comes down to Jalen Green and his ability to score. And I think that you're seeing more nights now where he's on the up than he is where he's at the floor, where he's having games where he scores like 9 or 10 points. Like that was something that was very concerning. But I think he's starting to turn the corner there, and the shot selection has been good. And so I think it's all about them just staying healthy. And then also, too, Dylan Brooks, man, he's got to stay on the floor for this team defensively. He gives them the edge there. And so next up, you got the Nuggets and the Lakers. And so the Nuggets just don't have a bench. I just really don't believe in their bench. They've really never addressed that. That was what took them over the top when they won the title. I get it with the Joker. Look, he is going to really help this team win a lot of games. He's going to keep you in a lot of playoff series, but at some point you have to rely on the bench. And so with the Lakers, Luka, LeBron, it's very much your turn, my turn. It can be hero ball kind of stuff, but I do like the fact that Austin Reeves has played very well. I do not like the fact that they do not have a big. I don't think that going into a playoff series with just Jackson Hayes as your primary guy is going to be enough out there, especially when games start to slow down and you have to go to the half court set. And he's a guy that needs to be activated by other players. He's not a guy that you're going to give it to him on the box and say, hey, go get me a bucket. He's not that type of guy. And so because of that, I don't like the Lakers there. And then, I get it with LeBron. He gets a little bit more rest, but man, he is a little bit older at this point in time. And these teams that he's going against, look, they have some, deeper teams. They're younger, and that could be an issue as well. And so next up, the Grizzlies and the Warriors. And so, look, with the Grizzlies, I'm not a firm believer in them. It comes down to John Morant. He did come back after their coach was fired there. So that was interesting that he played after missing 6 games, but they lost to the Lakers. But still, the Grizzlies are a team. I do not believe in that. They do not stay on the floor enough to really gain that type of chemistry. I have liked Scottie Pippen Jr. I think he's looked very good, and they do have some young pieces. I do like what they have with Zach Edey. I think he's going to be a player that certainly helps them out. In fact, I think he has been really perfect for them as far as being a defensive anchor, especially since they don't have Steven Adams anymore and he's with the Rockets. But the Grizzlies, man, they just are so uncertain with the injuries, and then also too keeping guys on the floor. And even if you're healthy, looking at Jaren Jackson Jr., he's always in foul trouble. And so you can't really rely on that. And so next, you got the Warriors and the Timberwolves and the Clippers here. And so we talked about this before. The Warriors are in a good spot because they have the easiest schedule. You have Steph Curry, who has come back. It looks like he's not hurting from the tailbone injury. You're having games where he's able to sit out like this, and so you're getting him some more rest. And a lot of things that is not talked about with this team is that Steph Curry, really, he's dealing with some stuff. I think he's had a hand injury. He's also dealing with some stuff with his knee and stuff like that as well. And look, he's kind of fought through that. This is something that, it just really isn't talked about and stuff like that. But Steph, look, he's got some minor stuff too as well. And so you want to keep him as fresh as possible. Jimmy Butler, this team has really responded well with him on the court. They continue to keep rolling, and he's going to be huge for them as the playoffs come down, especially when his ability, to get to the free throw line. I think that is going to really take the Warriors to another level. The Timberwolves and Clippers. And so, look, Timberwolves, you have one of the better players in the league in Anthony Edwards. But again, we're talking about a team that has really lost a lot of its depth. I think that once you traded off Karl Anthony Towns and you got Julius Randle back, I think that just kind of took away some of the chemistry there. You really take away some of the dimensions of this team as well, and it just really hasn't operated the same. And the Clippers, it's all about what is Kawhi going to do. I don't care that James Harden is playing at an elite level. I've seen that movie before on several different teams. And I just think that it's Kawhi Leonard is the guy. It's always been Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is the key there, along with Coach Lue. And look, Coach Lue, you talk about coaching out of the mud. It is Coach Lue. He finds ways to maximize rosters, but this is going to be a challenge if you don't have Kawhi Leonard. But I will say this, the minutes have gone up. He's played very well. He didn't play in this last one. And so Kawhi Leonard would have to be there for the Clippers to make a serious push. And so next you got the Mavs and the Kings. And so, the Mavs making a good push right now, 37-38. And I think that the key thing for them is Anthony Davis is now back with them. And so he's still on a bit of a minutes restriction. You can tell too that his legs are not there. The conditioning is not there as well because he's hitting the front of the rim with his shots. But you still have an elite player in Anthony Davis if you can keep him out of street clothes. You're going to need to do that along with your bigs like Derek Lively. Like he's going to have to be out there as well. They need to get these guys back and go from there because you don't have elite guard play in Kyrie Irving. And Jason Kidd's really had to rely on some players that don't necessarily get to the rotation. And so I think that's where the Mavs are going to struggle. But they still do have some good pieces. PJ Washington, they've got some guys that have been to the top of the mountain here. So let's see if they can hang on. The Kings, look, I don't necessarily believe too much in the Kings. I think that once again, we've seen this type of movie before with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. We saw that with the Chicago Bulls. And look, I totally agree with just really what is going on around the media with this team. It's just they don't have a true point guard. And once they lost De'Aaron Fox, look, they don't have that. You've had Sabonis, who's been in and out of the lineup as well. And so this is a team that is very, very shaky. So not necessarily believing that the Kings are going to make a run here. And so anyway, that is the SWBA standings on the Eastern and the Western Conference front. Let me know in the comments what you are thinking as far as the key takeaways here. And also too, what are you guys thinking as well? Because you are noticing that you do not see the Suns up on the screen, guys. And so they are currently, they're out of the running here. They would need to get back into the hunt to stay into that play-in situation. And once again, if you're just catching the show now, there is not going to be Kevin Durant, at least for right now, because of a bad ankle roll that he had there in this last game. So it did not look good. And so anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And as we always say here, see the game and be the game. I will see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.